Hello, I'm Brian Dolan. I'm from the Molecular Structures Laboratory in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. In this video, I'm going to show you how to grow high-quality single crystals of copper-2 sulfate pentahydrate for the Wisconsin Crystal Growing Competition. In this competition, you will grow beautiful blue crystals like the ones shown here. It is our hope that through this competition you will learn about chemistry, crystallography, and above all, have fun. Now, let's go to the lab and grow some crystals. For the Wisconsin Crystal Growing Competition, your crystals will be judged on the basis of two categories, quality and size. The quality of your crystals will be assessed based on how clean and how single they are. The ideal crystal will be a parallelogram and be free from any flaws or defects. The size of your crystal will be based on a logarithmic scale based off of the mass of the crystal. That means that the size is not going to be nearly as important in determining your overall score as the quality of the crystal is. A high quality yet small crystal can very easily beat out a large and low quality crystal when it comes to the final score. In order to grow a high quality crystal, you need to first grow high quality seed crystals. In order to grow high quality seed crystals, you first need to actually get out of the lab and go do some research. You want to look up what the saturation limit is for copper sulfate pentahydrate in water at both room temperature and at 100 degrees Celsius, the boiling point of water. Then you'll want to choose an amount of water and an amount of copper sulfate to dissolve in that water such that you will get a concentration of your solution that is intermediate between these two saturation limits. Once you do that, you can go to the lab. Once you're in the lab, always wear your safety equipment. So that means goggles and gloves. Next, you'll want to take your copper sulfate and add it to your water, stir it around. Now, since I've chosen an amount of copper sulfate that exceeds the solubility limit at room temperature, not all copper sulfate is dissolving. So, take my hot plate and heat it up to 100 degrees Celsius, then boil it. Alright. Now, the solution is boiling. What you're going to want to do is, as it's boiling, carefully stir it while it's boiling to dissolve any of the remaining crystallites that are dissolved. Once you've stirred it, you should be able to look at the solution and see that there's no particulate matter in it. It should be a nice blue color. Then you want to take your solution and using a hot glove so that you don't burn yourself, carefully pour it into a piece of glassware. I recommend a Petri dish because a Petri dish is wide and flat, will give you a lot of surface area for your crystals to grow. You don't want to do it in too narrow a space because then the crystals will start forming on top of each other. Then you cover it, and you want to take your solution and put it somewhere where it will not be disturbed. So it's been about 48 hours since I started this crystallization. And as you can see, there are some crystals that are growing in my Petri dish. The most noticeable is this rather large one that is really about 3 or 4 crystals that are all fused together. It won't work really well as a good seed crystal for this experiment. Instead, I'm going to grab one of the smaller crystals that looks to be more single and use it as my seed crystal. So I have one here in my forceps. I'm going to carefully place it in the bottom of another Petri dish. And then I'm going to take another solution of copper sulfate that is approximately the same concentration as what I had the other day. And I'm going to use that to grow my crystal. So it's currently heating. And not yet dissolved. But we're going to keep going until it's just all dissolve. We don't want to get it too hot. We don't really want to take it up to boiling point this time, because we don't want to dissolve the seed crystal that we have. We just want to get it We just want to get it hot enough so that the entire thing dissolves. And this can, of course, take a while. So there in the middle is my seed crystal. Here's my newly dissolved. And here's my newly dissolved solution. And like before, using a hot glove, I'm going to carefully pour this solution over the seed crystal. And then I'm going to cover it and let it sit overnight. Today the crystal is much, much bigger. I've tied it to a piece of fishing line, and I've tied the other end of the fishing line, wrapped it around a spatula. And at this point, I've made a large solution of copper sulfate that's approximately the same concentration as before. So I take my crystal that's now wrapped nicely around the spatula, and I slowly lower it into the solution.
You'll want to check on your crystallization every couple of days and replenish the solution at that time. It's also not a bad idea to weigh your crystals periodically just to see how large they're getting. Within a couple of weeks, you too will have beautiful crystals of copper 2 sulfate. Now, go out there, have fun, and grow some wonderful crystals. We hope to see your submissions here in the spring. Thanks for watching.